Hey, welcome to the NextDrop Question. I'm Mohamed Ateia. This is a short conversation series where I ask one focused question to experts working at the front lines of water, contaminants, environment, and practical solutions. Hello from Houston. Very excited today to speak with Christopher Gasson. Christopher is the founder and CEO of Global Water Intelligence. A lot of us look at water from inside, like one project, one utility, one technology, or one regulation. But Christopher looks at the water sector from a global scale, as markets, utilities, desalination, reuse, infrastructure, capital, risk, and the forces shaping where the water sector is going next. That perspective is very important because water challenges are no longer only local engineering problems. They are also investment problems, governance problems, and capacity problems. So today I want to ask Christopher what he is seeing across the global water sector. Where is the sector is moving? What are we underestimating? And what should the water professionals pay attention to before the next shift becomes obvious? So let's get to it. So normally we start by, can you tell us who are you and what is your position?
So I'm Christopher Gasson. I'm the CEO of Global Water Intelligence in the UK. And I guess I've followed global water markets all over the world. And I'm here today at Rice University for the Leading Edge Technology event for the IWA. It's been an interesting morning. We've had two great presentations. First one from Mark van Loostrecht, who's the, I guess, king of the circular economy, really pushing back the frontiers of what might be possible to recover from wastewater. I think that some of these things need a bit of thinking about. The idea that the brown color that you get in sludge is melanin, and this is a potentially valuable coloring that you could use in food or in makeup. I mean, it's a great idea, but I don't know what sort of uptake there'll be for makeup made from sewage sludge.
Exactly. And I think that speaks to maybe your kind of global perspective when you think about the market. I guess one of the questions which was very interesting about like how people in the sector mostly think about like upscaling, upcycling of resources and extraction of resources. It can sound like a good story, right? All this coloring and things like that. But once you hit the reality check of the real world and what can be accepted and consumers, etc., like how your institute kind of look at the market, like what kind of perspective?
Yeah, I guess you put your finger on a problem that exists. As we start talking about this sort of circular economy or value from waste, you've got, the water business is very good at water, but if it's going to really get value from waste, it's got to be good at marketing stuff into other sectors.
Exactly.
And there's so many other different uses and other industries that one would need to penetrate in order to recover this value. I think that's going to be the next sort of learning curve for this. But it is essential that we do develop this sort of more circular economy. And I've been pushing for this idea of a global target for water reuse. And two of the challenges we face there are, first of all, how do we increase the value of wastewater treatment overall? And value recovery is obviously one of the ways you can do that. And the other is on the sort of inorganic contaminant side, where you've got this sort of dilute to pollute problem, i.e., the discharge regulations require a certain sort of concentration of dissolved solids, and if the TDS is, you can dilute your wastewater to achieve the required TDS, and that makes it very difficult to consider water reuse because inevitably your residuals would be a higher concentration. So if we don't come up with some better ways of dealing with the materials in waste streams, it's going to be very difficult to push water efficiency and water reuse much further than it already is. So I can see that's an important challenge. Moving on to the second presentation from Many LMM that we had a bit later, looking at membranes. I mean, that's sort of connected in a different way, in that his point was that there's not much that's going to beat a polymeric membrane at the moment, but there's some tweaks that you can do to pull out different things, and particularly you was talking about catalytic membranes, which will break down some of the contaminants which will go through a membrane, and that probably is good news from a reuse perspective. But I mean, I'm going to be talking this afternoon, more generally about the challenges for sort of desalination and water reuse, and I see that overall the problem is not so much the technology as the public.
Okay.
A lot
it's
of
another communication.
it's a big communication issue that we've really got to address. So, I mean, there's on the desal side, you've got the problem with the brine, and how do you dispose of that? And people feeling that that it should be a limiting factor on the growth of desal. And on the reuse side, again, we still have this public perceptions of reuse that need to be overcome. But nevertheless, the technology is still exciting, and it's always nice to hear what people are doing that's new.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so again, thanks for everything that you are doing, and thanks for your time.
Sure.
Yeah. That was the NextDrop question. Thanks for listening. See you next time.